got other information we want to cover tonight. So what we have in the back is copies of the presentation given, and it has a lot of the same format, but updated numbers that we gave, or I gave back in late January. So it's there for you to look at. There's copies for y'all if you want some. I thought I'd walk through just a few of the key highlights and then have a couple more comments to cover. With respect to sinkhole containment, one of the three key areas that we're working on, we did get preliminary containment or initial containment of the sinkhole on February 26th, where we built the new north and south and upgraded the western berms. We are in the final stages of design of the sinkhole containment, and then we hope to be finished with that final system in the May time frame, where we'll be adding geotechnical fabric, clay, limestone, and building the sinkhole to the final level, final elevation, along with inflow and outflow control structures to finish up that whole system. So that process has continued, but we felt like it was imperative to get the initial containment system complete, which did happen last month. With respect to air, water, and seismic monitoring, we continue to see no elevated levels of VOCs, hydrogen sulfide, LEL, carbon monoxide. All of those have been no elevated levels, and we've not seen any positive hits of LEL or H2S by any of the monitors in the Bayou Corn area or any of the sampling that we've done. In addition, we continue to take surface water and groundwater samples, and we've seen no water contaminants detected outside the sinkhole. And the overall seismic monitoring process, the 6 seismic surface stations and the 450-foot geothermal well, continue to be active, and our reporting continues to the SERI helicoder site that I think all of you have access, and I know the website's on the web address is on our website. From a gas venting standpoint, in the past 2 months, we've spent a lot of effort putting in additional relief wells. We currently have 30 relief wells installed. As of the last count, 25 were flaring. We have 3 more planned or underway. We're in a quiet period right now with the 3D seismic survey because data acquisition has begun. So there won't be any more installed until after that process is complete, and that's probably going to take about 2 weeks. And that kind of takes me into the next topic, and that's the active seismic program. We did complete the VSP results in January. Dr. Hikos is going to talk about some of the conclusions there. The good news is the edge of the salt, there was initial concern about the edge of the salt west of number 3 cavern. Everything says that's exactly where it was back in the 2010 VSP and the 2007 Legend 3D. So the western edge of the dome remains stable. It hasn't moved. There hasn't been any changes. The Oxy Geismar 1 cavern, as already been mentioned, does appear to be the edge of the salt, does appear to be closer to that cavern than we previously understood. It does not pose any imminent threat. It is still under pressure. It is still stable. And it has integrity as it has for the last 1.5 years since it was taken out of service. And then, as I've already mentioned, the 3D seismic survey is underway. The target is to produce images of the western flank of the salt dome, along with any hydrocarbon reservoir zones down to a depth of 7,000 feet, as well as the extent of any gas in the shallow aquifer up at the surface or in the MRA, the Mississippi River Alluvial Aquifer. And that typically runs from about 120 feet deep to around 300 to 500 feet deep. So that's a lot of the efforts, and it's just a quick summary of the activities that have been going on the past couple of months since our last update. And again, we have handouts in the back for anybody that wishes them. I want to spend a few minutes to talk about the topic of NORM. That's recently come up again, and I wanted to tell you just straight up where we stand with NORM and where that whole topic is. Just to make sure we're all clear, NORM stands for Naturally Occurring Radioactive Material. Typically, this would, in a brine well operation, this comes from the scale that's on brine well tubing or casing in the well. It tends to concentrate in that scale. As a result of maintenance activity on several of the brine wells, that scale is actually, over the years, has fallen off and was actually around the wellhead on Oxygeismar 3, as well as another location of ours. But let me tell you, that material was never pumped, placed, or put inside any of the caverns of Grand Bayou or Chacahula or any of the caverns that we operate. We did seek approval from DNR and DEQ to do so when we first discovered it. But after looking at it and getting our permits, because it was an entity that because when we discovered it, it was the first time we found it, we said, okay, we need to talk to DEQ and DNR to figure out how to best manage this. We asked for permission to put it in a well, but after we sought that permission, we realized that's not what we need to do. The regulations that came out allowed us to monitor it in place, which we did. That material is still probably sitting around the wellhead on number 3 well. Since then, the regulations have said that that material no longer needs to be monitored because it's of such low levels. There's been a lot of hearsay about that norm being put in number 3 cavern. I'm telling you, it wasn't. And that is even confirmed, you know, since April 3rd, EPA and state agencies have checked for radioactive levels and have not seen anything above normal background. The EPA's aspect flyover plane did not detect any radiation, which is exactly what we would expect. Recently, there was discussion about the topic of technically enhanced norm, and I got to be honest with you, prior to yesterday, I'd never heard that term. We have permission from DNR and DEQ to place brine solids. These is basically calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide. That is the result of treating this hardness that comes out of the brine. And it's this hardness that we're actually allowed and got permission from the state agencies to put down wells if we choose to. Similar to what a water softener does. It removes the calcium and magnesium in the brine. But for purposes of Oxygeismar Grand Bayou, we have never put any of these brine solids down those wells. So just wanted to be straight up with you. We've never put norm in the wells, and we've never put brine solids in the Oxygeismar Grand Bayou wells, either number 1, 2, or 3. With that, I'm going to introduce a colleague of mine, Brad Myers with Keene Miller. He's going to come up here and talk about settlements. I know it's a topic that all of you are very interested in. So he's going to come up and kind of explain the scenario and the situation and try to shed some light on what our plans are with respect to that. Thanks.